and welcome. This is 360 Youth Dialogue here on Third Eye Africa Television, your favorite show here on this channel. I am Juliet Ora, glad to always have you join us here where we dissect issues concerning the youth. And if it's affecting the youth, we're talking about it here. I have with me two distinct guests. I have Seth Jibrin, he's a media practitioner, an in-house person, and I have a political analyst and a political commentator, Mr. Charles Akanjin. Today we're talking about a trending video, a trending issue. The obstacle is ongoing for Osun State, and the state which was rather relatively peaceful, we're now hearing an uprising of conflict and all that. Just so I read this out loud to you. The Osun State Governorship Election held on July 16th, 2023, and brought in Senator Adeleke. He won the vote by 403,371 votes, and he beat his closest rival. And right now we're seeing that Osun State has over 3 million, if I'm not mistaken, 3 million registered voters to cast their vote. All this and more we'll be talking here on 360 Youth Dialogue with our guests. Do stay tuned with us after this short break. Welcome back from that very short break. We'll dive right into this conversation. And Mr. Charles Akanji, you're a public commentator, you're a political analyst. I mean, this is the season where you talk the most. Osun State, as we know, is bracing for one of its most closely, this is one of the most closely watched for Osun State. Osun State have been behind the scenes before now. Why do you think Osun State is coming on board and being everywhere at the moment?
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
viewers, and welcome. Yeah, you see, as we look ahead the August 15 Osun gubernatorial elections, we are beginning to see that the political atmosphere has become heightened. Intimidation, fear, accusations have been going around, and party supporters have been arrested by security agencies. People have been killed. And yes, we know Nigerian elections is characterized by heightened tensions every time there are elections. But the fact still remains that the state of the living spring, which is Osun State, being on the spotlight at this point in time, is something we have to look at very critically. And we are calling on all, stakeholders, the INEC, the security agencies, to, at this point in time, rise up to their own responsibilities and become accountable, so that the crisis we are facing in Osun State now should quickly be nipped in the bud, or else, it will generate into something that we don't want to see in Nigeria. I think that's my initial reaction.
So we don't want to see what will happen when this whole thing scale up into a real violence. But to you, Seth, do you think this whole Osun State is just an eruption, or they say nothing just happened? It's like a reaction of things ongoing. Do you think there was an violence and war going on, looking at people shifting alliance, defections here and there?
Right.
What's your take?
First off, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. Now, to the issue on ground, to the question you asked, I think it would be wise for me to point out that there is no smoke without fire. And it's obvious, if you are conversant with the political atmosphere of our country, you know that Osun State is not, led by the ruling party, right? So since the coming in of the sitting governor, Senator Adeleke, there has been strategic moves, plans, and things undertaken to make sure that they get that seat for the ruling party. So I don't think is a shocking news, so to speak, for those who are inclined politically to see these things happen. It's unfortunate, yes, But it's something that if you read our political history in Nigeria, in the country, you find out that seats that are not being controlled by the ruling party or a certain party allegedly are being, set, fire under the seats to make sure that one, there's unrest, right? And then there's a plan also. If you look at the plan, a plot rather, you see that they're trying to deliberately cause issues in a peaceful state so that when they sweep in and curb, all the violence and stuff, it will not be as if the president's, ruling party, from the presidency is working. And I think is this campaign strategy. It is an ugly one, needless to say, but it is what it is. So this is my take on it. It's just a deliberate act to cause, unrest and then gain points at the polling.
This what you've actually just said now is an allegation.
Yeah.
It's alleged that for states that are not ruled by the ruling party, that's the APC, face such crisis. Do you think so, or do you agree, or it's just a propaganda being put out there, Mr. Akanji?
Well, as my other colleague rightly said, you see, if you look at the political trend in Osun State, coming from the last elections, you notice that even prior, before Adeleke came in 2018, election he contested with Governor Yetola, where that election ended inconclusively. After the Electoral Act was made to be amended, that there is no inconclusive election based on the calculations that was made at that point in time. So in 2022, Ademola Adeleke defeated an incumbent governor. He defeated an incumbent governor because of his popularity. The people saw the government of Oyetola, that they saw the difference, that even before Oyetola came in, they saw governance in Osun State. They saw that, okay, this is what they bargained for. But they shifted allegiance and voted for PDP. And Ademola Adeleke came into power. And in the last 3 to 4 years, not to mince word, Ademola Adeleke has, gained popularity in the state. He has been able to put one or two things on ground. And, looking at 2027 elections, and Osun State has become a state that APC must capture, because in the last election, in the presidential election, the ruling party lost Osun State.
Right.
They lost Osun State to the PDP. They couldn't win that state. So they saw it, they are seeing it as an avenue to capture the state so that in 2027, they will have that state in the bag for the presidential election. That's why you are seeing a lot of intimidation coming, a lot of arrest, a lot of political tension, political cultists, political, buccaneers, everybody wanting to grab that power at the same time. That's why you see the policy in Osun State being heated up at this point in time. I think it's not about, wanting to claim power at all costs, but, the politics of the ruling party wanting to grab everything at their own disposal. But I think Osun people will stand up and resist any intimidation because we are seeing what is happening all around Osun State. The people are eager to come out and wrestle with their vote. They are not going to be intimidated. The governor said it yesterday that the president should come and assist them to ensure that what is happening in the state, they should rein on those political activists or political, how will I put them, political talks and that are going about causing trouble here and there, shooting people, killing people, only the name of wanting to grab power. So I think the security agencies have a lot to do at this particular point in time.
Okay, just before we get to security agencies and still remaining with you, what really has changed? If the people voted Adeleke in 2018 and they said, oh, this is the person we want, this is who we like, what really has changed that we're seeing more revolution? We're seeing, let me allege that it's called the revolution, because if we're seeing apathy, we're seeing differences in the state where people are neither for nor against, and thugs are able to penetrate through the people. You see, that's one thing. When there is a division, that means the people don't really, I'm just saying from my own observation, the people don't really know who to stand with. Is it that through his tenure, he wasn't um, he didn't do, or he wasn't capable enough, or it's just the propaganda, as you've alleged?
Adebola Adeleke, from my own point of view, has performed brilliantly well in Osun State in the last 3 years. Yes, he has done well for the people. I've traveled to Osun like 2, 3 times. I've seen infrastructure. I've seen what he has done, payment of salaries. He has, despite the fact that for the past 20 months, the local government funds has been seized in Osun State, he has not deterred the governor. He has continued paying the local government workers. So what I see in all of this is that the people have not shifted allegiance. If you look at the margin of victory, you said something. With the margin of victory had between Oyetola and him in the last 4 years was 28,000 difference votes. And I don't think that margin of victory will still, going by what we are seeing, Adeleke will coast home to victory. And for those fermenting trouble in Osun State, they are not ghosts. They are people like us. And
Exactly.
I think it's still beyond on the security agencies to do their job to ensure that those culprits are brought to book. And we want a free and fair election. We want a peaceful environment, because your Osun State election is a test. It's a litmus test for what we are going to be to see in 2027 elections. It's a
Indeed.
litmus test.
Indeed. Okay, to you, said now, he made a statement about the winning gap from 2018 election. Do you think, looking at 22.3 million people in Osun State that have registered, do you think these people are still going to be eager to vote and come out in their mass as how they came out in previous year? Or do you think anything has changed?
Well, I think they will. They will come out
Okay.
because
Why?
what they are seeing is a direct orchestration to cause trouble in the state and seize power. So obviously they know what's in play, and they would want to stand rather by their votes, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still the electorate that owns the seat. They choose who goes on it. So I'm sure that there are wise people, and they are wise enough to see that they want to frustrate, the current government so that they can take over the seat. Now, the question I want to ask the Osun people is Governor Adeleke performing? If he is, why change? Right? If something is working for you, the system is working for you, why change? Now, I think this is also, if he's working, based on what we've seen and heard, he is. You understand? Now, this is the chance for the Osun people to, in a way, show appreciation that we've seen what you've been doing. We've seen things and moves that you've made, and you've made our lives and way of life a little bit better, because the state of the Nigerian economy needs improvements, that we know. So this is a time for them to show appreciation to the governor and say, sir, we see what's happening, we know what's going on, and we're going to stick with you come the 2027. And just to pick from what my honorable colleague here said, is that this election is the forerunner. This is the John the Baptist to Christ, being the 2027 elections. Now, I will also call on the people of Osun, good people of Osun, to take note that if we don't get it right at Osun this time around, we're going to set a precedent for 2027. Now, the saying goes, the way you lay your bed, so this is our political bed, so to speak. Now, again, just to encompass all the actors, I would like to also comment on INEC. INEC and the security agencies should know that Nigerians are watching. I'm sure the international communities also are watching. They need to do what they ought to do. I will leave it at that for now.
Okay, we can't leave it at that, because I think Mr. Akanjin is already agitated to say more. But before I go over to Mr. Akanjin,
All right.
do you think that still looking at the people now, if the people really wants to air their voice and they're hearing violence, don't you think that disrupts free and fair elections?
Yeah, it does. But then, what is what doing is what doing well, right? Now, people or actors, political actors, can want to, cause trouble here and there, but what they are after. Now, are we going to sit back in the comfort of your home and let them have their way? No. You know, this country, sometimes we take it a bit, you know, like we take it lying down or sitting down, as the expression goes. This country is worth fighting for. The future of this country and those that are yet to come is worth fighting for. Now, if you believe in something, the same way the political actors have a belief for their strategy and narrative, you also have yours. So I don't think we should coward, you know, in a way that we allow or we let certain elements in the society deter us from actually determining our future. Because it's their future, the next 4 years now. If they get it wrong, this is not an avenue for us to, you know, be the prophets of doom, but I'm sure they do know what to expect if they get it wrong. So that is that on that.
So from the political arena, what do you say, Mr. Akanjin,
From the political arena,
of people coming out to still vote despite the violence, and would the election be free and fair looking at the violence we're seeing, predicting?
For me, you know, every democratic process, naturally, it brings disagreements.
Right.
There are disagreements, but the tone and the pattern we are seeing in Osun State, it looks like the stakes are very high, and it's beyond what we can see. And I want to believe that no matter the intimidation, no matter the arrest, no matter the threat, no matter, I want to assure the Osun State people that they should come out without fear or favor. And I believe that aside the security agencies, we have other, you know, independent, you know, bodies across Nigeria, across the world, that are also watching. We saw what happened in Ekiti State, even before the Ekiti election. We saw the fear of intimidation, arrest, and what have you. People were afraid of coming out. But there was an early response, you know, through the European Union Information Hub, that they detect early where there are threats and violence, to quickly curb them and bring them and nip them in the bud. We saw that the Ekiti State election was peaceful. It was practically peaceful. The violence, I'm not sure they recorded any violence during that election. So I think the people should not be afraid. They should come out, because I know INEC is going to up their antics. They are going to up their game. And the security agents, in terms of intelligence, are also going to work to ensure that this election is free and fair. And to add to that, INEC has identified 11 local governments as a high-risk flashpoint in Osun State. Oshogbo, Atakumosa, East and West, Oriade, and Boripe. Some of these local governments has been identified as high-risk flashpoints. And security agencies must heighten their security apparatus in this area, so that the people can come and freely exercise their vote, and their vote will count. Thank you.
Okay, let's stay here with you on a little bit. You said something about security apparatus. Despite this local government area that have been identified, and you know, security agency being intensified in this area,
Yes.
do you think the people still have trust in the security apparatus? And let me just share the recent video that trended in a motor park in Osogbo, where police were seen in the video doing nothing, obviously, as thugs were raiding people's property, and some people actually lost their life or injured. So looking at that, do you think the people still trust the security apparatus to come out for a free and fair election, and not just for a free and fair election, but for their own safety?
Well, as I earlier said, when the crisis was brewing in Osun State, and the political actors from both political parties were clamoring for, you know, a neutral police, a neutral police that will not side one political party. I think the IG did a very good job, and he changed the commissioner of police, because there were a lot of you know, petitions against that commissioner of police. So they brought in a new commissioner of police, and I think since the new commissioner of police resumed in Osun State last week, there have been relatively peace in Osun State. And I think the governor himself, which is the sitting governor, has been giving confidence he has spoke confidently to his people that they should come out. It is only their vote. You see, you cannot rig an army of voters when they are many. You cannot rig them out, and you cannot intimidate them. When the power of the people is higher than the power of the intimidators. So if they come out and with a neutral police and with the intelligence that is on ground in Osun State, I think for me, I see a relatively peaceful election at the end of the day.
Okay, so mind you, there's still propaganda from the Commissioner of Police and the APC, the ruling party in the state, which is Accord Party, if I'm
yes.
not wrong. They are all saying different stories looking at the propaganda. So let's talk about the allegations right here. There have been accusations of the ruling party coming up against the ruling party. And when we're looking at these allegations, I want us to actually play the blame game here because it's needed for us to actually point fingers. And there were talks, supposedly talks, in the secretary to the government's house, and there was an arrest. These are names have been called. People, like, it's not like they said it was real. People were arrested. People were caught in the act. Names have been called and all that. But we're seeing blame between the party, between the APC, between the state government in Osun State. So who really are we going to blame? Is this just a political propaganda of you playing your politics, this person bantering back, or what? What really is going on in Osun State? If we should really look at it, dissect it, and look at, okay, the thugs, the criminals, are they real thugs, or were they just strategized there in the location? Who is sponsoring these people and all that? I want us to look at this and actually point out and play the blame game out here.
Okay. Last month, the Inspector General of Police visited Osun State on the allegation that the state government is harboring thugs and they want to use them for election. The IG came to the state and the governor said, "Sir, if you have any information concerning the thugs, these political thugs, you are free to arrest them. You are free to bring them to book. You are free to charge them for wrongdoing." And after then, we saw the NURTW saga in Osun State, where the APC used one of their thugs to want to take over the motor parks.
So how sure are you it's the APC thugs?
It is of course, because
So
the governor
what's
had
the
to come out.
backing exactly?
The governor had to come out to say he has disbanded the National Union of Road Transport Workers in Osun State, because one of the thugs that is supporting the APC went to those parks, was collecting those parks from, any state. It is the state government that controls the union. And we know the union, they have a network. They have the capacity to mobilize voters.
Yes.
But they can also be used for logistics during elections. Because without them, you cannot move materials from one location to the other. Are you getting me? So if you are using them against the people to say you want to collect, you want to take back the park from the owners of the park, then there will be crisis everywhere. What we are saying is that the people that are involved in this crisis, in this violence, in this intimidation, in this criminal activities going on in Osun State should be arrested irrespective of party affiliations.
Right.
They must be brought to book, irrespective of whether you belong to Accord or you belong to PDP or you belong to NDP or any political party. If you are found fermenting trouble in the state, they should be charged to court and be dealt with according to the law. Thank you.
Just so you add
Right.
on what he has said, I want you to also add to whatever you want to say.
Okay.
If they should be brought to book, who sponsors them?
Uh,
Like, we should also call to book their sponsors.
Right. So I will start by making this statement. It's a popular saying, Franca Lunga, in Nigeria. Now who then catch? Now him be thief. You understand?
Okay.
Now I'm saying this to say it's an unfortunate reality in our political space that the political actors do use these people, for whatever gains, right? Now, the case of the Osun, the thugs that they found in the sensitive area, which is one of the officials' house, it goes to show that these people know what they're doing.
So
That
these
is the
people
political
are-
actors.
Okay.
They know what they're doing.
So despite
They are
the
gearing up.
party-
They're trying. They're not trying to leave any end loose. I think the idea behind housing them is, should in case we need them, we have them in a place and we can deploy them. Do you understand? The snatching of ballot boxes. We've seen over time. I think since the coming on board of the Hausa people call it white cap, like civilian rule. We've always seen these elements whenever it is time for elections. We've always seen them. Now, the second part is, should the sponsors be? Of course, they should be, but then they wouldn't, right? Because we know where we are and we know how things have been done in where we are. Nigeria has promises. Nigeria is a promising nation. But up till now, since 1960 to this point, we're still hoping, to have a standard way of life. The basic amenities are still, something most Nigerians pray for. So in a state like Nigeria, who there's somewhat a strategic, plan to keep us behind, to set us aback. Maybe if we make like 3 steps forward, they take us 10 back. So it goes to show that the Nigerian state has failed, is failing, and if nothing is done, I repeat, if nothing is done, we'll go back years back, maybe a decade back. Now, for the security agencies who have the task of making arrests and prosecutions and all that stuff, I would advise them to take their hands off. For those who, have their hands, because I can't generalize, obviously, all might be in suit but in different pursuit, right? Those that have their hands in the political cookie jar should please take it out. Now, you taking it out means you're no longer affiliated with any, and you owe no person any favor. So it gives you that room to take your job seriously, number one, and carry out your duty diligently. So to sum up, if the thugs are being arrested, questions and investigations take place. Those who sponsor or are sponsoring or are planning to sponsor should also be brought to book.
You did. Brought to book. And he made a statement that I like here because it's the truth. No political party would play safe. Because if I'm playing safe and you're not playing safe and he's not playing safe, that leaves me to lose.
And remember, if you're not planning to succeed, you're planning to fail.
Exactly. So all are planning to succeed, all are planning to win the vote. Let's still talk about the blame game here. If we should blame at all, and we're looking at what's going on in Osun State, are we looking at, are we blaming or pointing, accusing fingers? Not really accusing fingers, but who are we saying is wrong? Is it the INEC? Is it the state government? Is it the political parties? Or the young people? Who are we really going to say, oh, what you're doing is not wrong, is not right? Looking at political parties pointing fingers here and there, and even in the Accord party, we have a chairperson coming out to tell the governor that stop harboring criminals and giving them membership. There have been a cross fingers here. So who are we blaming and who are we calling wrong here?
Well, for me, I think the political actors who should be, going about telling the Osun citizens, telling the Osun people what they want to do in terms of education, in terms of healthcare, in terms of youth employment, and what have you that will benefit the lives of their people, are busy, engaging themselves in political violence, and it will not help. It will not help the state. The political actors should do something beyond violence, beyond intimidation, and beyond arming their supporters to cause violence. They should take their manifestos, their policies to the people. They need to be blamed. The security agencies too. They also need to to be neutral when it comes to issues like this. Anybody that is being caught irrespective of political parties should be dealt with. And for INEC himself, INEC, I told you they have done a very good job through their, they've gathered the verifiable data and they've identified flashpoints where they think violence and, high risk violence will take place and threat. And it's left for the security agencies to look at those areas and make sure and ensure that peace and lasting peace and security is heightened in that area. How many police force do you want to deploy in Osun? In 2023 elections, we saw over 238 violence happened across the country. And we deployed over 300,000 police force in that elections. And going to Osun State, I think more deployment will be done. And anybody caught in the crossfire should be dealt with. So all the actors, both the actors, the security agencies, the INEC, everybody has a duty and responsibility to ensure that this election is peaceful.
Exactly. Everybody have that collective responsibility. And bringing perpetrators to book is something that we should really see more often in Nigeria. And to the youth, why I wouldn't really say that I'm blaming the youth or not blaming the youth, because if they are not sponsored, they wouldn't do this. If poverty is not weaponized, if unemployment, if the young people have jobs to do, I don't think you would give me a gun and tell me to go to the street when I have something to do with my life. So all those, I think, is just a strategy to keep the circle of what is going on in not just Osun State, but in Nigeria. But before we go further, we'll take a short break, and after that, we'll delve more into Osun State election and election security. Do stay tuned here on 360 U Dialogue. Since 2023, at least 551 students and school staffs have been abducted in major school kidnapping incidents across Nigeria, highlighting the growing vulnerability of educational institutions. In 2025 alone, armed groups reportedly abducted over 300 students and 12 teachers from a school in Niger State, just days after another school attack in Kebbi State, further disrupting access to education and deepening fear among parents and communities. From January to April 2026, at least 1,100 people have been abducted. That's worrisome. The number paints a troubling picture. But kidnapping is more than a security problem. It has become an economic model. Criminal gangs exploit weak law enforcement, vast ungoverned spaces, and financial incentive created by ransom payment. Every successful abduction generates resources that can fund more weapons, recruit more criminals, and expand these networks. Security experts warn that unless these financial lifelines are disrupted, arrest alone may not be enough to end the circle. Between July 2024 and June 2025, 4,722 Nigerians were kidnapped in 997 separate incidents. Kidnappers demanded 48 billion naira in ransom. They received 2.57 billion naira, according to SBM Intelligence Tracking Media reports and verified incidents. While the National Bureau of Statistics released different numbers, the estimated $2.23 million kidnapping incidents between May 2023 and April 2024. Both federal and state laws prescribe severe punishment ranging from long-term prison terms to life imprisonment, and some jurisdictions, the death penalty. The law also empowers authorities to trace, freeze, and confiscate assets linked to ransom payment and prosecute anyone finances or profit from kidnapping. On the other hand, the Nigerian government has sought to discourage ransom payment by introducing legal provisions that criminalize paying kidnappers. The rationale is that ransom money fuels criminal operations and encourages more abductions. In 2023, a high court in Ilorin sentenced a traditional Fulani leader, his brother, and another accomplice to life imprisonment after convicting them of conspiracy and kidnapping. Likewise, Evans' case, who was sentenced to life imprisonment, some argue that a stiffer punishment should be given.
Purportedly, Nigeria already has strong legal provisions to punishing kidnappings, including life imprisonment, asset forfeiture, and in many states, the death penalty. The greater challenge is not the absence of law, but consistent enforcement, effective intelligence gathering, successful prosecution, and dismantling the financial networks that make kidnapping a profitable criminal enterprise. Join this discussion on 360 Youth Dialogue with Dr. Steve Okorie on Third Eye Africa Television. And don't forget to subscribe and follow us to stay updated.
And welcome back. If you're just tuning in, probably you're right on time, probably you're not, but we've been having a wonderful conversation here looking at Osun State election, and we're talking about election security. We've had a wonderful conversation looking at how it's going on in Osun State, who to blame, who not to blame, and all that. But moving forward, I would still want to stay right on who to blame. And before we went on the break, we talked about the blame game. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. Do you think that's what is going on in Osun State right now?
Yes, I will not say that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Dictates the tune of what? In terms of violence? No. You see, as I earlier said, the political actors have a lot of role to play to ensure peaceful and environment and peaceful elections in their various domains. Yes, Nigerian youth, poverty has been weaponized. Youth unemployment, able-bodied youth, they don't have things doing that will keep them busy. Yes, you might say an idle hand is the devil's workshop, being sponsored by political actors to, carry out violent crimes and electoral, activities that are not in tandem with our, electoral laws. But be that as it may, well, if they ask you to dip your hand into the fire, you know that if you dip it into the fire, it will burn you. So I don't expect a Nigerian youth to involve themselves in such electoral violence or being sponsored to go and carry out any criminal activities, irrespective of whatever position they find themselves. They should have a mind of their own. They should believe that the youth is the future of tomorrow. The future lies in their hands, and the way you lay your bed, that is where you lie on it. That is the way you lie on it. So if you are being used to perpetrate electoral violence and you are caught and you are sent to jail, these people will not come. They will not even recognize you. You will just rot in jail. If you go to some of our jails, you see people that have been there for 10 years. They don't even know the crime they have committed. They don't even know anybody to come and, nobody is there to know what they have done. These are people that have involved themselves in issues like this. So our youth, I'm encouraging them to stay off trouble, no matter, irrespective of whatever political godfather has promised you. You should not stake your life for any politician. You should go out there, cast your vote peacefully, and let your vote count. Standing by your vote does not mean you should be shooting gun or carrying arms and ammunition to cause violence. Vote peacefully and ensure that your vote counts. Eschew violence, eschew trouble. Don't let anybody use you for their own political gain. That is my advice.
Indeed, a wonderful advice. And we actually hope that the youths are going to take that advice. So, on your prediction, Mr. Seth, what's your prediction on the Osun State election?
Well, it will be a myopic view on my own end to say that I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Why? Because if you are conversant with the history, like I said, it's almost like a broken record because it's been replayed every electoral, cycle. Violence, unrest, rigging, snatching, and what have you. And then to crown it all up, after every election, we'll go to the courts. So these things, I can promise Nigerians and the Osun public that they will see all this play out. Now, what happens between the violence and the courts is totally dependent on the people and what they want. Right. The political actors, the political parties want their people to be the ones sitting on that seat come next year or after these elections. But then, how do I put this expression now? They hold the onions and the knife. That is the populace now, the electorate in Osun State. It depends on how they want to cut it. Right? If you want to slice it from the up, sideways, you want to do up, down, if you want to do it in cube, it's left for them. But then they should also remember, like I said earlier, that the future of the nation, this sets the ball rolling. Right? Now, don't mistake it. All the political parties want to be on that seat. The ruling party needs that, seat. It's obvious because it's like we've forgotten that the sitting governor now, Adeleke, was in court defending his mandate given to him by the people. Fortunately for him, he won that also. This is another battle for him, and I would dare say for the people of Osun State. If they don't sit up and they let the few bad eggs, the next 4 years is going to be turbulent and somewhat disastrous, because if they don't get it right, it sets the ball rolling for the full nation. Right.
Indeed. There's so much prediction, and I don't think there's so much light from what you've said. Like,
No, there
prediction.
isn't. There isn't.
Okay, to you, Mr. Akanji, as a political analyst, extending what is going on in Osun State to other states and other off-cycles that would come up in 2027, and also for the 2027 general elections, what really do you think would play out, looking at what's playing out in Osun State? Do you see same thing?
Well, as I said earlier, that Osun is a litmus test for what we are going to see in 2027. But my own prediction in Osun, if you look at the last 4 years, the people that made Adeleke won that elections in Osun, a few of them has crossed over to the APC. Where he comes from, Adeleke is from Osun West, if I'm correct, the Ede axis, and that is where he got chunk of his vote from, by the margin of that 20,000. He won in Osogbo in the last election, but now we have political big players in Osogbo that are in the APC. The current national secretary of the party is from Osogbo. We have in Osun East, we had Senator Fada Osibi was with him before. He has left him, he's now in APC. We have Wole Oke, who is in Oriade, is now in APC. So most of the people that supported Adeleke are now in the APC. But one thing going on for Adeleke is that the people believed in him. And Osun State is a civil servant state. And for the past 3 years going, he has not owed a dime. And he has done meaningfully well for the people. The race is too close to call. It's a 2-horse race. But for my prediction, Adeleke 51, APC 49.
That's a close one.
That prediction is okay. We hope to see how close that is to come to pass. But let's look at off-cycles and general elections.
Yes.
How can we stop, or what can be done by all stakeholders, looking at every other person that plays part in this? What can be done to stop what is going on in Osun? Violence. We're tired of hearing electoral violence here and there. Once it's election, we just know that, blood will spill, there will be violence, this will happen, there will be court cases and all that. So how can we stop that from happening, from you, sir?
I think it's simple. We don't need the rocket scientists to come and tell us, all these things. First things first, right? Everybody should detach from political activities, in the sense that leave the politicking for politics or politicians, right? The INEC should be independent. You have your own portfolio, you have your own mandate, right? That's talking about the INEC. Do your job. Don't align yourself with any political party's agenda. Don't let yourself be used. Don't be a political tool for a political party. Now, the agencies, security agencies also do same. Be neutral. If you sense unrest, before it happens, you take precautionary measures. Because Nigeria, we are used to reactive. We're not proactive. We don't see issues before they happen and then stop them. We wait for them to happen, and then what we call the fire brigade approach. So we're used to that. Now we need to go back to the drawing board in the sense that Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, their responsibilities and duties do not cross path. My resolution does not affect yours. Yours does not affect his. We all have, just like here now, you're the anchor, you're the host. None of us should co-host or anchor with you, right? When it comes to my own turn to respond to your questions, I do that. When it's his own turn, he does that. Now, we need to know that, yes, this is this and that is that. INEC, the political umpire, do your job. Provide voters, provide electorates with their voting cards, with the beavers, everything that they need to make a successful electoral, voting and what have you. The police, security agencies, do your job. Safeguard those properties, the materials transported from, INEC to the polling units and stuff. Then those in charge of security or securing the voters do your jobs. Now, there is something we missed. One of the figures he mentioned, or I think you mentioned, you touched on also, was the fact that the INEC is saying, or the security agencies are saying, that they have 11 hotspots in Osun State that they are predicting will be, the total number of local governments in Osun State, if I'm not mistaken, is 30. Now, if out of 30, 11 is problematic, what do you think will happen to the rest? And what do you think overall these coming elections will look like? 15 is half of 30. Now you're having the larger chunk of the other half problematic. It's still going to spill. If measures are not put in place to curb and suppress the pressure points, the violent distant elements and the distant they're projecting, it's going to spread. It's like a wildfire. Now, other local government will be looking at it from the angle of, oh, okay, we are not important, and that is why they are not looking at us in that manner, and they want to indulge in the criminal aspects of the election that is coming. And then those people that are the flashpoints now, what percentage in terms of population and importance are they to the 30? Now, if you do your investigations properly and your research, you might be shocked to find out that those 11 local governments said to be the flashpoints or the hotspots in the states might be important to who wins the election. If you go down and see. So these are all the political tools and gimmicks that will be seen over time. And in the general election, I'm sorry to say, if these things are not checked now, when it's just the case of Osun, in general elections, you will see this ugly face repeating or resurfacing and showing itself again, unfortunately. Right.
Okay, just so you comment further on this, I want you to say something on this particular issue which he has raised. But before you say that, you said Osun State is a civil servant state, and he said for this to be possible, for free and fair election and no violence during elections, we have to detach. I mean, all stakeholders have to detach and play their role. Do you think it's possible, looking at civil servants, looking at people that are, should I say, what's the word again? People that play allegiance to political parties, can they, even if they serve a particular cause or a security agency or political party or being a youth or whatever, do you think they can really detach from playing politics?
Politics is a game that is being played by everybody. There is nobody that is not political. Even you are political at one point in time. You exercise your voting right. Yes, you are political at one point. So, you see, if we keep treating the symptoms of a problem by not treating the real source of that problem, we will not get solutions. You see, if elections are fair and fair, there is no need for me to go and be fighting and be killing myself when I know my vote will count. If I know my vote will not count, that's why I will come to your polling booth and steal your ballot papers. So the problem we have is that we must go back to the drawing board. And where is the drawing board? The Electoral Act said electronic voting should be accepted in the amendment of the Electoral Act. But when it got to our National Assembly, what did they do?
The interpretation.
They interpreted it and said, no, where the vote, where there is no network, you can use manual, a Form E-C-8 can be used to. These are problems that you have not treated. You are still treating the symptoms. If you said in the INEC guidelines there is electronic voting, I can sit in the comfort of my house and vote, and my vote will count. It will just go to the server. Why will I go and be killing myself and be shooting people? So the root of the problem is that we must first overhaul our electoral process. If we don't overhaul the electoral process, what we are seeing today is a child's play, because the 2027 election is looking like a do or die election.
Okay,
It's looking like a do or die election because the sitting president will not want to lose his position. He doesn't want to lose his seat. But if elections are fair and fair, nobody will come and shoot anybody and go and kill you, because I know I can win you. I can definitely defeat you. So we must go back to the root of the problem. In as much as that the electoral process is still being fine-tuned and we are not getting it right, I am pleading to political actors. They have a major role to play. They must talk to their supporters. We don't want to see what happened Operation Wet here in the south, in the west, in 1983 to happen again in Osun State, where people's houses were being burnt, people were being killed and maimed alive because of electoral manipulations. They should allow the voice of the people to count. If APC wins, good luck. If Adeleke returns, good luck. The essence of governance is to provide the welfare for the people of Osun State and for the people in which you serve. And if that is being provided, so be it. So why force a candidate on the people? Why keep people because you want to elect members? You want to elect somebody into office? So we must please. And the security agencies have a lot of role to play in this aspect. They must remain neutral. They must remain neutral. We don't have any country to call our own. Nigeria is our country. And anybody that wins the election, free and fair, give it to that person. Because the international community are watching what is going on in Nigeria. And it's not good for our own image as the giant of Africa, which we call ourselves. So we must make sure that this country remains peaceful as we look towards 2027. But the Osun election is a litmus test. After the Osun election, we will see how far the 2027 election will go.
Indeed,
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much. But before we close here, Mr. Seth, speaking from your young person, and if you should speak the mind of young people, what do you think dominates their mind right now in the reoccurrence of electoral violence?
Well, we've lost hope. The timid youth, the larger percentage, as at the last census done, larger percentage of the Nigerian population is the youth. Now, from that percentage, how many percentage of the youth, the timid youths, are in the positions where they can make laws, that they can determine, make policies to help their lives and, the lives of their family members and those around them. Decision making remains very important to the thriving nature of any nation, right? Now, if you have the minority, talking about the population index now, from the elder ones, making policies for the younger and the majority of the population. From there, it is already a faulty foundation, right? Now, the government and governance has to include both the old and the young. Now, the old are supposed to serve because the word now has been bastardized in Nigeria. Godfathers, set direction for the youths. Be there for the youth to approach, like, sir, we're thinking of making, putting on this policy on ground to help the Nigerian, drive. Then those older ones get to, based on their experiences, right, advise the younger ones. But now we're saying that the older ones don't want to leave the action for the younger ones. Now, I don't want to make it seem as though the older ones are not useful, to the Nigerian nation and dream and goal. But also, are the youths ready? Like, it's another thing to say, I want to drive a car. Are you ready, mentally ready to drive a car? We know how motorists, apply the roads, especially here in Abuja. There are some that can't see properly at night, but they still drive, causing havoc here and there. So still in the political system, there are people that just want to be seen.
They just want to be politicians.
Yes, they just want to be say, honorable, honorable, this, this and that. Not really putting into consideration what it entails to be out there. Right? There are people that naturally they are born leaders. Now, people like that don't find themselves in the political space or in the public offices because they can't do the politicking the Nigerian politicians are doing. Now, we need to also understand that the youth will have fresher ideas. The older ones will have a technical know-how based on their experiences. Now, we need to have a marriage of convenience in a way that we work hand in hand, both the young and the old. And then also, again, before I close, we need to also give kudos to those who have done well thus far. That is from the younger and the older. Now, we still have the younger ones that have been given opportunities to head one or two things. They are misbehaving, gross misconduct everywhere. And it goes down to our godfatherism system in the country. If, say, Mr. A is a godson to, I'm from the north, let me use a certain Alhaji, he does not carry out the duty or the mandate given to him. He will always prefer or refer to the Alhaji for, sir, I want to do this. What is your take? And then the choice of the sitting, the person occupying the office is not being put in play, but rather the instructions coming from the Godfather. So we need to come together and see how we can harmonize both the elderly and the young. That is talking about experience and ideas.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Akanji and Mr. Seth Jibril,
Pleasure.
for coming to 360 Youth Dialogue to discuss Osun State election and electoral security. Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. And to our audience, you've heard the predictions, you've heard the whole discussion. Let's look forward to a secured and free and fair election in Osun State, and not only in Osun State, in the forthcoming general election 2027. I am Juliet Omura. Keep watching Third Eye Africa Television.